From weird mullets, bad flows and Barbie-style haircuts, NHL players are among the toughest out there. But when it comes to hair, they should leave it to soccer players. Here are the players with the weirdest hairstyles in NHL history. Number 15. Ron Duguay. Ron Duguay was the fortunate owner of several unique haircuts throughout the years, utilizing his copious curly locks in a variety of ways. However, it appears like Duguay mailed it in when it came to regulating his hair. Duguay makes the list because of the gigantic mop of curls he wore as a mullet, an unusual hairdo even during the mullet's heyday. The untidy mountain of hair pointed in every way, and it's a wonder Duguay didn't get tired of dealing with it while trying to skate with a puck. Number 14. Wayne Gretzky. Throughout his incredible NHL career, Gretzky had arguably the best hair in the league. The Great One knew how to coif the great flow, yet no one, not even Gretzky, is perfect. Gretzky's performance described here was by far one of his worst. Gretzky was sporting a Barry Melrose-style mullet in the early 1980s, so while the flow was good, the business in the front wasn't up to Gretzky's customary standards. Gretzky thankfully learned how to rock the flow befitting of his unrivaled on-ice prowess. Number 13. Mike Ricci. Don't get me wrong, Mike Ricci had a fantastic flow. He had enough flow to share with everyone on the rink, and they'd all be rocking fantastic flow at the same time. However, during his time with the Sharks, Ricci made a mistake in one of his official team shots, appearing more like a Spanish TV soap opera hottie than a gritty hockey player. While it looked great under a bucket, Ricci's woman's shampoo commercial-grade hair in this photo isn't appropriate for a hard-nosed athlete. Number 12. Michael Hunzus. Michael Hunzus might be on a list of amazing haircuts since some of the flow he wore over his career was top 10 worthy. On this occasion though, his ragged, huge mullet earns him a reprimand rather than a standing ovation. As a player streaks down the ice, the flow must literally flow. This variant of Hunzus's mullet bounced rather than flowed. Hunzus eventually got his flow game together, but we weren't about to let this slip by. Number 11. Scott Hartnell. Some admire Scott Hartnell's long curly red hair while others dismiss it as a shaggy mop of disaster. It was bad enough when it was a mop, but it got even worse when Hartnell went through a makeover where his long hair was straightened out, earning him the same criticism that Ricci received earlier on this list. In general, Hartnell's hair was scraggly and tangled, which earned the hearts of Flyers fans, and only Flyers fans. When Hartnell cut the locks, many people made metaphorical funerals. The rest of us said, good riddance. Number 10. Larry Robinson. Larry Big Bird Sr. Robinson had several wonderful haircuts over the years, but he, like many others before and after him, attempted something new and it didn't work out. Robinson's hair was usually up in a mini afro or simply flowing. However, he elected to wear it down here and nearly established a new mushroom cut trend. Thankfully, the renowned defenseman got his hair game and on-ice game back on track, giving him the whole package during his Hall of Fame career. Number 9. Barry Melrose. Barry Melrose is on this list for two reasons. Granted, his mullet was once one of the most iconic in the National Hockey League. For starters, you'd be hard-pressed to find a National Hockey League coach with a lot of flair in the last 30 to 40 years, because most of them are older, matured hockey minds who are more focused on getting their power play to click than on growing their flow. Another reason Melrose makes the list is that he still rocks the mullet. Proudly, I should add. Your mullet, Barry, was not designed for ESPN hockey coverage. Number 8. Andre Kostitsyn. Throughout his less-than-stellar NHL career, Andre Kostitsyn made numerous mistakes. Add getting a good haircut to that list. Kostitsyn was the proud owner of a Russian mullet, which is probably not a real thing, but we'll use it for this video. If you look at Kostitsyn straight in the eyes, you'd believe he had uninteresting flat hair, but the moment he turns his head, the flatness returns in the form of a mullet that rests exactly on the back of his head and neck. So while Kostitsyn had the length for flow, there was no actual flow when he skated around the ice. Number 7. Darius Kasparitis. Throughout his National Hockey League career, Darius Kasparitis was known for his legendary violent hip hits, not to mention the terrible hairdo that got him through some of that time. Kasparitis had a long flowing hairstyle blended with a characteristic children's-style bowl haircut during his tenure with the Rangers. Kasparitis appeared to be a terrifying version of Goldilocks, therefore the combination should never have happened. A combination we'd love to see, however, is your finger on the subscribe button to catch all of our latest content. Number 6. Patrick Kane. Let's be honest about it on a couple of levels. To begin with, if you had to guess which NHL player would be most likely to flaunt a mullet without knowing who was rocking it, you'd definitely pick Patrick Kane, even before he grew his first career mullet. Kane has had a few different iterations of the Kaner mullet throughout his so far successful career. This is by far the worst. Too much partying in the back, not enough business up in the front, and while we're on the subject, the racing stripes were a horrible choice from the start, given his style of play. Number 5. Daniel Alfredsson. Daniel Alfredsson's flowing golden hair captivated both Sens and worldwide hockey fans. His hair's greatness seemed to follow his career path. He had his best hair during his best years, but Alfie made one mistake. He tied his hair up in a ponytail. No self-respecting hockey player should ever restrict or tie up the flow of his flow, even with an elastic. Thankfully, this didn't stick. Otherwise, we would have had some severe issues adding Alfie to the list of guys with excellent flow. Number 4. Brian McGrattan. Brian McGrattan was a fierce son of a gun on the ice. If you messed with him, you had to know that you would almost certainly have your facial bone structure realigned. McGrattan decided to do some hair restructuring during his tenure with the Calgary Flames for reasons unknown to even the most astute of men, opting for hot blonde streaks through the top of his spiky hair. Don't get me wrong, I'd never imagined going toe-to-toe with McGrattan, but those who did must have gotten a chuckle out of the strange dye job. Number 3. Mike Commodore. Mike Commodore might have won Best Looking Redhead if such a vote was conducted with only National Hockey League players. It makes the list because, as unusual as it was without the helmet, it was much stranger with the helmet on. The ginger fro would poke out from every nook and crevice of his bucket. A hockey player's flow is expected to be aesthetically beautiful as well as in control, two things that Commodore's afro was not. Number 2. Brian McCabe. Brian McCabe deserves some credit for being creative. His notion, while novel, made him appear odd. He looked terrible in a blue mullet during a Leafs playoff run a few years ago. So why was he wearing it? My spouse. She shoved me into my mohawk. I liked it and would have kept it for a while, but mohawks started sprouting up everywhere and it was out before it was in. Now that I'm a little bald, I can do nothing. Number 1. Alfredsson. As much as it would have been good to be unique for this piece by using a fresh name at the top, it's difficult to beat Alfredsson's skullet look, which was placed at the top of best and worst hockey hairstyles for years. While the flow was present, the bald spot in the middle of two sets of hair that could stand on their own threw everything off. While it was Alfredsson's signature look, you'd be hard-pushed to find anyone else who would readily imitate it. If you're still into hairstyles, we recommend clicking the link on the screen to watch us ranking NHL players by their hairstyles.